So one day I'm working on the computer, but I'm about close to moving, about 10 days away from moving. I gave my last month's notice due to some break-ins and home invasions where they were stealing my property or whatnot. Everything was cool. The landlord said, all right, if that's what you want to do, you want to move, it's your last. I had given them first and last month's rent, sorry. So I was on that last month, and it was around, I think, the 19th, so I still had about 11 days left in the month. I was just about to move and head on. I was going to move around the end of the month, probably the 29th or so. I was going to move. I was going to pay movers just like I had previously. I always was a person to hire movers. Anyway, it was just a normal day. I'm working on the computer and whatnot, and I get a call down from my landlord at the time. And he I was thinking, I know he's going to be a little bit heated in person because we were interacting via email. I knew he might be a little bit heated in the face to face about how I was moving, but he had already corresponded in email that everything was everything was fine, and that I was to be moving and yada yada. Anyways, I go downstairs because he called me down. I thought, why not? I don't have any ill intentions. I'll go downstairs and see what he needs. Because he was working, and at that time he had just finally gotten that pizza shop up and running. They were working on a pizza shop below the apartment that I was renting. It's technically part of the same property. I was the tenant upstairs. They had came to me with this idea because I seen they had put this place up for rent on Kijiji. It's a classified website. And then when I talked to them, they were saying, oh, we're going to plan on building this pizza shop from scratch and yada yada and all that. And at the time, I didn't really know too much about it. Like, I didn't know how noisy it was going to be or what that was going to be like. But that's part of the reason why I had to wanted to move and put that. It just was nothing like I thought it was going to be. The walls and the floor were a lot thinner than I thought, and people could hear me sleeping or getting out. Stuff that was my personal business, like getting in and out of bed, or maybe because I'm self-employed to a certain extent, especially at that time. I used to maybe I would sleep from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. or 12 or whatever, lunchtime or whatever. See, and that caused an issue because I lived a different lifestyle than, say, those people downstairs eating pizza. So that was the reason why I didn't want to live there anymore. And the place had gotten broken into. I had a piece of jewelry, very expensive jewelry. They didn't steal it, they just smashed it on the floor. And then I had a couple other things missing and things. What is it called? And so I put in that last month's notice or whatever, and I was on my way out. Anyway, he called me down, everything's fine. I go down there, I see him. He seems fairly normal. He just tells me, hey, I got this toolbox upstairs, and I know exactly which one he was talking about, a red toolbox that was over by the back area. It was a large apartment. It was actually a Victorian penthouse, and it had several rooms. It had a living room, kitchen, dining room, and then it had another back room, very large. I think it was 1,200 to 2,000 square feet, maybe 2,400 square feet of penthouse. Old Victorian penthouse. But everything was very old. It was very creepy. I wish I had more videos of it. It was a very creepy penthouse. And what is it called? Anyways, so as I'm thinking about this red toolbox, and I'm just really talking normal. I'm still very respectful, But I'm not talking like I know it all or anything. I'm just like, all right, I'll go up and grab the toolbox and yada yada. My landlord agreed, who was Wayne at the time or whatever, and and I said, okay. So as I'm turning around to go back upstairs, it's sort of a weird setup. Let me see. It's sort of a weird setup how this apartment was. It's on the main road downtown, and they're like apartments above like retail locations. Many people know how it is if you live downtown places, but it was this exact apartment here, and it was like these are the apartments, and then here are the retail locations. What is it called? There was a lot of things that happened. One time there was an incident where they were just showing the place, and I heard someone start messing with this here a couple times, messing with this balcony, trying to knock these two support beams off. There was a couple things that happened. Anyway, I just didn't feel comfortable anyway. But specifically this day or whatever, I came outside here, this exact door here. It's since changed color because this was from 2013. It's since changed into a pizza location, but I was there for the full renovation. I was staying up here in this penthouse. This penthouse actually, it looks fairly small from here, but it goes from here all the way back or whatever to behind the property there. So it's the fairly large penthouse, like I'd said. Anyway, I'll get to that in a minute maybe and show you that. But basically, I came down these stairs here as I was called down. All the landlord had to do, he was down here in the restaurant, and he just had to yell with his voice, "Tom, come downstairs. I want to talk to you." Okay, and I went all the way around. I used to sit right here. I used to have a computer desk and everything right here. And that desk has since been stolen or whatever. It was a plastic desk I got on Amazon, which is not a big problem. Anyways, I came down over here and I walked down, and then there's a big set of stairs. You got to go all the way down here. So technically, this door here is the front entrance to my residence, right on the downtown strip. So it's sort of, once you go down here, it's sort of like, it's not always super busy, but usually it's pretty busy. Anyway, I come down here, my landlord met me here, and I stood about here, and he stood about there, whatever, and we talked, or whatever he said. I got that red toolbox upstairs, and yada yada. I said, okay. And as I turn around, I was about here, to go back in here, that gentleman, Philip Thompson, had pulled up to about where this exact car is here, this Chrysler, whatever, but he pulled up in a truck, a pickup truck, an old pickup truck or something like that. But next thing I know, he was out of this door and came around here fully aggressively, and I turned around and seen him. And by the time I turned around and seen him, he was already attacking me and choking me and whatnot. So I was talking to Wayne or whatnot, and then I go to turn around and go inside, back upstairs to retrieve that toolbox. That's when I turned around because I heard someone like moving or breathing or something, and that's when Phil Thompson began choking me. To the point to where I felt like I was going to pass out. That is when I put my hands in a defensive position, and I might do a video diagram of the defensive position that I did, where I broke his choke on me. I just put my two arms up in between his arms and pushed his arms out so that he could no longer choke me. And I just moved myself to about here and Phil still remained there, but facing the door, and I just stood there. And this is my apartment, to go back to my apartment where all my belongings are. I had a lot of belongings, of course, as many people do. So anyways, I'm standing there, and I'm just looking at Philip or whatever, and next thing I know, he could have had many choices. He could have went this way and went back to his vehicle and left after he choked me. Or he could have went to Wayne and did something. Or he could have just walked this way and went back. I was just standing here looking at him like, whoa, he just choked me or whatever. Fairly hard. But he continued to run at me. I was about here now or whatever after I broke the choke or whatever. And he continued to run after me. And he's much larger than me. And people say I'm a large person. He's much taller. I'd say at least by a foot or two. He's about a foot taller than me for sure. So he's hovering over me. And at the time, I'm only 24, 25. He's around 50 something. He's hovering over me, and now I see that he's brandishing a snub-nosed Magnum revolver. Or well, I don't even think it was a snub-nose, but it was a Magnum revolver, large caliber. That's when I was able to, once he was coming with this very aggressive look, he had already assaulted me, and that's when I bumped him on the nose with my fist or whatever. And he was still coming at me, so I retrieved my dog canine spray and I sprayed him in his eyes or whatever to incapacitate him, because he did have that Magnum revolver. Once I incapacitated him, I went over here. There was still a small scuffle, and I had checked my pockets for some things that I had, because I never expected this, but I always usually keep either some canine spray or anything like that, some OC spray. I always keep some OC spray. It just so happened I had canine spray, and because I have been attacked by a canine, I have a left index finger that has been mutilated by a pit bull canine. It wasn't a canine like a canine dog or whatever. It was just a pretty bad pit bull that bit me. Anyway, so I always keep that on me just in case rabid animals. And this is country. Don't get it wrong. Yeah, I said downtown. This is downtown as far as it really goes. I mean, about from here to there. And it's a very small town. And anyway, so I always had that canine spray on me or whatever. And once I incapacitated him, he was still coming at me. And I just wanted to go back inside and get to safety back up to my apartment, which I paid money for. I was still within my legal means of staying there until the last of the month. And then, I mean, potentially legally or whatever, they would have to file an eviction. So potentially I could have legally been in there for 60 more days. Potentially. Even though I was planning on moving out that month or whatever, and that was, but potentially legally under the courts, I could be there for those additional 60 days under the Tenancy Act and things like that. But anyway, or whatever, it wasn't really that bad or whatever. It was just a OC spray, self-defense or whatever. And that's all it was. And then I retrieved back to safety or whatever. And unfortunately, at that time, self-defense laws were fairly unclear in Canada. And, you know, the small town or whatever was, I didn't want to live there anymore. So I went with this officer. I was down on the porch or whatever about 45 minutes later or whatever. And then I had to get booked or whatever. And then I got bailed out or whatever fairly swiftly. And that's when I went to court and I got the charges dropped and things. And a lot of people now understand the self-defense laws a little bit better in Canada. It states in Canada Everyone who is unlawfully assaulted without provoked the assault is justified in repelling force by force if the force they use is not intended to cause death or grievous bodily harm and is no more than necessary to enable him to defend himself. And then it scales up and down. So there I had to use that OC spray or that pepper spray, what is known as pepper spray, or in this case it was actually canine repellent. But if an animal, if a human is acting like a rabid animal, that constitutes this specific non-lethal defense technique. It's much better than using a knife for self-defense or a gun or anything of that nature. It's completely non-lethal. And because he had that revolver, which could then inflict death upon me, and he had obstructed my airways, that OC spray or pepper spray was sort of like being very nice under the law. So I went completely with the law. A person is not guilty of an offense if they believe on reasonable ground that force is being used against them or another person, or a threat of force is being made against them or another person. That means technically, even if he attacked my landlord, I would be able to defend. And then same goes for property, especially a very expensive property that takes years and years and years to acquire. We don't just work 25, 50 years to have property and somebody could just run in and hijack it from you. Okay. Now, let's see here. You can get into the law if you want to, but basically self-defense is legal, but we don't have a lot of promotion to self-defense like in the United States. They have a lot of YouTube channels and things like that or whatever. But other than that, sorry, I love the town or whatever. I used to ride my little e-bike around, and I remember back here there was some Amish people playing some music, and I had a lot of great days in Teeswater. This wasn't just my only day or whatever. I had a lot of really fun days. I used to go over here to this restaurant a lot, and I had a P.O. box. I even had a night key at Canada Post. I had a night key. I paid for it. I was able to go into Canada Post at night. That's how much of a customer of Canada Post I am. That I even had a night key. I could access this door at any time of night. And nothing happened bad under my watch over at Canada Post. I went there a couple times, I think 1 or 2 times to check my P.O. box at night. Laney's, unfortunately, when I was there, they were closed down. Who knows? I don't know. I haven't been there ever since to know if they're up or not. But I know that that pizza shop's doing well in its hometown pizza. And I was one of the first people to ever try that recipe, that hometown pizza recipe that was first created. But it's since now changed hands to new owners. And I used to come down here a lot on my e-bike. Where is it? I don't think the Google truck went over there. But there's this place called Ross, and there's like some horse stuff over there, and a park and everything. I used to ride my e-bike all around. It's just a small little town or whatever. But e-bikes are completely legal or whatever. They don't go as fast as a traditional bike, but they go fairly fast. And yeah, I used to joyride sometimes, but then I also used to commute with it. And I used to and I also had a Cadillac Escalade, which technically was stolen, but I've since forfeited it or whatever, technically or whatever. And I used to go all the way down here a lot to the Gailey Country Store, Farm Fresh Country Store. I used to go there quite a bit. I always wanted to do a factory tour video, but unfortunately I never got to. And I found out that my actual cousin runs the Facebook fan page for Teeswater. It's called the Gailey now, but it used to be called Teeswater Creamery. And I met her in Port Credit. Yeah, Port Credit, I think it was, or whatever. There was a celebration of life, and she told me that she was the Facebook manager there, and I didn't even know. And I think she does some other stuff too. But I used to go there, and I had some sandwiches there. They make fresh sandwiches, like they have all different food there, and they have like breakfast and all that. And they a lot of the truck drivers eat there. I think it's mostly the truck drivers, but anybody's free to go in there and eat. And I used to go in there a couple times, and I bought a lot of different cheeses there. Horseradish cheese and cranberry cheese or something. And at the time, it was one of the first time I had a lot of those specialty cheeses. And I used to have a drone. And I used to fly my drone over at that park over there. And I think I even flew the drone over here one time because I stayed at this Edward right there. And what's it called? I used to go down here and ride my e-bike over by the pool down here. And I purchased a couple things to fix up my Cadillac, like some rust remover and stuff from this hardware store. Now, since then, they've built another hardware store, but in my personal opinion, this hardware store was more than fine. The other store should have been a grocery store, not... I don't understand why they need, I don't know. Maybe they're building more out there. In my opinion, there was already plenty of houses and in town anyway. Maybe they're building stuff out of town. But I never got to swim in the pool, but I definitely did see a lot of people swimming in the pool one time. And I drove my e-bike all the way down here over by this little river. And I used to smoke cigarettes at the time, and I smoked a cigarette over here. And I rode my e-bike and hung out, and I used to have a little radio thing on my e-bike, one of those little boombox things that connect to your phone or whatever. And then I drove my e-bike back up here, and those e-bikes have a hard time going up the hill or whatever. And I went up the hill, but it managed to go up these hills no problem, but it slows down a lot. And I used to ride my e-bike all the way around here, and all the way over there, and all the way over here, and I used to joyride a lot. And other than that, I used to just work on the computer. And I used to drink a lot back then, like beer and stuff. So I used to go to this LCBO a lot. That's the last time I spent big money on alcohol, was at this LCBO. I bought the most expensive bottle that I've ever bought. I mean, I've drank Dom Perignon and things because it was gifted to me from my brother. But the most expensive bottle that I've bought was it was not very expensive. $100 I paid for it. It was and I can still I can't even stomach to say it. It was a Patron Silver. I had bought over here. At this LCBO, I bought a Patron Silver, and the amount of money I spent on alcohol these days, it was unbelievable. I think I drank enough for my whole entire life. I had a Patron Silver, a lot of Smirnoff bottles, Bacardi, every single type of alcohol. Summersby, those those milk mud shakes. What else? And this was only in a couple month period. Twisted tea type of things. A couple like those mixed drink things. And I used to drive my e-bike here, and I used to have this little Lacoste duffel bag I used to put it in, and then I would just zoom off in my e-bike, or on my e-bike, sorry. And then they have this new, I don't think they have it in this picture in 2013. It must be a relatively new building or something. I went over here to get my Cadillac. I wanted to deck it out and make it one of those decked out Cadillacs. And I just bought the Cadillac for cash at the time, so I went over here to do a quote. I wanted to put a new sound system in it and do that whole number with it or whatever. So I was planning on spending a good couple thousand with this guy over here. I can't see the guy's building here. It must not even be built on here yet. But yeah, I went over there to get some work on the Cadillac. The guy was pretty confident he could do it. And it just so happened that I had to go to court or whatever over that self-defense thing. But now everything's fine or whatever. But I don't frequent Teeswater. I haven't been to Teeswater since 2017. And I filled up a full tank of gas over here when I first bought the Cadillac at FS Full Serve. I guess. I never even really knew the name. Krypton. I filled it right up to the brim with gas. And you know what happened to it? I think somebody they were very jealous in town that I had bought my own vehicle. It was a big thing for me to buy a vehicle in my life. I was a very poor kid or whatever, and to a lot of people. My father owned property and whatnot, but no one ever expected me to get that Cadillac or whatever. The same Cadillac that's in that Who Run It video or whatever I had. What is it called? 3-6 Mafia. So that was the real reason why I wanted to buy it or whatever, and I bought it because it's the exact same Cadillac or whatever that's in this video or whatever, the 3-6 Mafia video. I'll show you if it should be on YouTube. It doesn't have many views or whatever, so it kind of pisses me off because it wasn't that good of an investment or nothing. But because I don't have the Cadillac anymore or whatever, because it got, like, technically when I went to court or whatever, I never came back. I had to go to jail for about a month or whatever. And then I got bailed out, and then I had got the charges dropped and whatnot, and I did a plea deal or whatever, but I could have got the charges completely dropped if you look at the self-defense laws. But at the time, I wanted the full jail experience. I wanted the 60 days in, and that's what I got. And I wanted that full experience and learn how it was or whatever, and I learned a lot of things behind it. But if you search it up, StacksAMilli Cadillac, see here I had the exact Cadillac. What is it called? I had there's my drone and whatnot, and my bike. And at the time, I had the exact same Cadillac as the Who Run It video or whatever. And I got another one here when I first bought the Cadillac. And I didn't notice, but I had a huge dent there. I was working on it, though. And yeah, I bought that wheel cover for it, and I cleaned it out quite a bit. You can see it's still a little bit dusty in this one, but I planned on doing a lot more work on it. And it just so happened I had to go to court or whatever. It was full leather or whatnot and whatever. Someone's probably got it or whatever, and whatever. I paid $4 grand cash for it. But I plan on buying another vehicle one day, but I think I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with financing. I'm not going to buy it cash like I bought here, just for the simple fact that I got really bent over on this Cadillac or whatever that I bought. 1999, it was the first year they ever built an Escalade, and I had that. So that was a big goal in my life that I owned at least for a while. I had that 3-6 Mafia, Who Run It Cadillac or whatever. And I wanted to deck it out like this. That's what I was doing at the time. Was my big project was Oops, I was going to hire this guy in town. I had already got a sort of a quote from him, and I was just about to come in and have him put the rims on and whatnot. And I really, really wanted to get the paint job on it, but I would have had to go to Toronto. There was a guy, I think, in Toronto that I was going to go with the paint with or whatever. The guy in Teeswater, I was going to at least put the rims on and whatnot, the wheels and whatnot, and the sound system and things. And then I was going to go to this guy in Toronto. He does this, I can't remember exactly what it's called, Plasti Dip. Looks like he's permanently closed. But this is who I was going to hire for that paint job, was a Plasti Dip. But there was a lot of jealousy in that town or whatever, and somebody put sugar in my gas tank or something. And somebody like deflated my tire, and they were brand new tires or whatever. So I had to, I paid to fix the tire. The tire got fixed or whatever, and whatnot. But I had moved or whatever, and I had just let that Cadillac go. Now I'm more interested in like a Tesla or possibly a Ferrari, which I'll do on, or even a Maserati. That I'll be doing one day on their payment system or whatever. Their, what do you call it? Their financing. I really like the Spider. I need something big. But it all worked out for me. It taught me a lot in that town. But what did I also say? Ferrari. And I like Rolls Royces too. And there was actually a woman in that town that had a Rolls Royce, an older one. And I got to talking to her a lot, and we got along. And she also has a big 250 or whatever. I can't remember what it was, like dirt bike. So I like Rollses. I like Rolls Royces. We'll have to see what they come out with in the future because I still have quite a bit of time. I'm not looking to finance anything probably for at least 5 to 10 years. So we'll see what they have in 5 to 10 years. And I like this here. They got the stitch in the door and the roof there. That looks pretty cool. Oh, it also has those stars. There's a brand name for those stars. I wouldn't be able to tell you what it is right now. And I said Ferrari and Tesla. Of course, I want to get another e-bike. That'll either be Daymac or that Emo company. My last one was a Daymac. But when I was at the Teeswater Fair, somebody poured beer on my e-bike, which in my opinion is just a waste of money. It's a hillbilly thing to do. It's like you're getting laughs, but that was a very expensive vehicle. And then there's that company Emo or whatever, so I probably want to get one of those one day. A Daymac or an Emo. Their websites have been acting up lately. Here's Emo. They got that full size. At the time, they never had the full size one. They just had the mini e-bike. So since then, they've developed the full sized one. The Daymax is called the EM2. And at the time, I had this one, the EM1. And but I either want the EM2, which is the same size as a full-size motorcycle, except it's the electric motor, and it's limited by a certain speed, and etc., or limited to a certain speed. And I don't mind the. They also have this thing called the Beast, I think, and it's decent. So I don't know which one, but eventually I want to save and get one of those. because the EM1 was kind of it had a steering problem that I had put some hot glue, or what, not hot glue, but super glue to fix the steering problem that it had. So I knew that there was a steering problem. And then it also had a couple problems on it. And so I didn't really mind, giving that one up either. I just threw it away or whatever, really. So we'll see if I get that EM2 or not one day, or the Beast. I think I'll go with Emo, because I did Daymac before, but we'll have to see at the time. And they also have financing, but who knows? You can get lucky any day. And well, they got a bunch of different retailers all throughout. I know they have one in London that I checked out. And they're a fairly decent company. Rolls-Royce. We'll have to see what everything's like in a couple more years for the Rollses. I think everybody's given up those Rolls-Royces for the Bentleys. I don't mind the Bentleys too. That Musan or whatever. I know a lot of people are after that one. I like this one. It's pretty nice. Continental GT V8 convertible. Flowing lines, exquisite style, beautifully lit. (198 miles per hour max speed). That's very fast. 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. A lot of horsepower, a lot of torque, and then it's in that luxury form factor. Has a very big digital display in the middle with all the apps, it looks like. You can customize which color you want it to be, and the interior and the exterior. And there's a lot to do with that. Oh, here's the Musan. They stopped that in 2020. So that's an older model, actually. But I can see why that one guy likes it. But why would he give up a Rolls-Royce to have another Rolls-Royce style vehicle? Because that one looks a lot like that one looks a lot like a Rolls-Royce. But I get it. You're into that style. If you're more of a person that gets chauffeured, I guess. Style one, that one is. Yeah, it's fairly nice, that one. It almost reminds me sort of the same style as a lot of those Maybachs. There's a name for this certain style. I believe it's what would be this? I guess they call it the Musan, but they have a couple different range offers for it. So it's a fairly hard choice. Portofino, Roma. Look at these things. Icona. Monza. I don't know. We'll have to see. These ones look like, make the Teslas look like. And so many people have the Teslas. Like, so many people got financed on Teslas. They're like everywhere. They don't look that good, honestly. Look at the metal here or whatever, engraved. And there is no, say you were in a place like this area, I don't even think they have a supercharger for a Tesla. They have good old gas and diesel. So I'm still trying to choose whether I go combustible or electric for. I think I'll just go electric on my e-bike and then combustible for the car or SUV or whatever it is eventually. Maybe they'll even lower financial payments or whatever to like something affordable. And what was the other company? I said Maserati. I've seen a couple Maseratis around in London. I've seen this one guy and this one, he's got a wife or a girlfriend or something I see always riding in the passenger seat. I'm not going to say which area of London it is, but I've seen them a couple times. And they always look very sleek. And they have, it's not an SUV. I'm not sure exactly which one it is, but it must be either one of these. I think it's this one here, the Quattroporte is what they have. Or quite possibly, I think what they have is now you might, because I don't see it here. Now I can't remember exactly which one they have. It might be the Quattroporte or Quattroporte or Quattroport. I think they have an older Quatroport, at least a couple years old. But they look really good in it, I'll tell you that much. And they definitely opened my eyes to Maserati because I seen how good the girl looks in it. She's usually in a dress. At the time I seen her, she was always in dresses, and the guy was always dressed up and whatever, and they look good in their Maserati. Maseratis are cool because you get that mix between that sport and luxury, but then you also have the 4 seats and stuff if you have like a family, like a new baby or something. What's up here? What's here? Anyways. Yeah, see, safety. They got a lot of safety features. But they're also luxurious, and I think they're fairly sporty. And let's see what current offers they got. 2021 Levant GTS. I don't even know how to say this one. I'll probably have to be corrected in the future. Ghibli? Ghibli? I don't know. I like the Quattro port. Let's take a look at this one here, the Levant GTS. You have to actually see, that is where the Maserati dealership is in London, Maserati of London. So that is why I have seen a few Maserati, or I've seen one Maserati on the road. Finance 2.70% for up to 84 months, or you can lease it at 390% for 48 months. And I think they go over the specific numbers whenever you go into the dealership, depending on how much money you put down and whatnot. But I know it's not too expensive. You'd be surprised that if you cut out some of your habits, say smoking cigarettes or marijuana or alcohol or tattoos, or I mean, tattoos are one thing, but say even cigarettes, alcohol, food, and maybe a couple other things, whatever you're addicted to, maybe some people are casino and whatnot. You'd be surprised that you may be able to afford one of these vehicles. Like you never thought you could. See, it's cheaper than a Tesla. Tesla is over 100,000. You can get a Levant Maserati for cheaper than a Tesla. But then you're not saving money on the electricity, or not electricity, gas, because with the Teslas you can charge them for free, but I don't necessarily trust that lithium battery technology as a vehicle. Like, it's good or whatnot, but the Teslas look good too. I've rode in them also, and they got a lot of cool features. But to me, the Tesla's almost like this, sort of like this little kid computer car. It's like, ooh, I can play fart sounds on my car and all that. And these other ones are more serious. And I think they're a lot more safe in certain ways too. Let's see. Yeah, so anyways. That's what I'm up to nowadays. I'm saving up for a vehicle in the future. I don't have much saved though, but that is what I have my eye on. So I'm refraining from all of those small ticket items like a pack of smokes or whatever. I haven't smoked cigarettes in years. It was a thing I tried when I was younger, but some people are still on them. And I'm not even smoking too much marijuana these days either. But let's read this real quick to end the video. I don't know exactly what it says, so I'll talk about what it says just after I read it. The mainstream media doesn't talk about it. Congress doesn't talk about it. But 3 multi-billionaires now own more wealth than the bottom half of our society. That level of inequality is immoral and unsustainable. Bernie Sanders, and he puts his signature right there on the photo there. Now, I don't know if that's his official signature that he signs the check with or whatever. It's just his first name, but who knows? I'm sure he adds this additional last name and whatnot when he's signing official documents, but I should think that's his political signature maybe or whatever. Anyways, what do I think about that? That can be seen in many different ways. I mean, obviously the people that have the majority of the wealth aren't too immoral, or else I wouldn't be alive and many others wouldn't be either. And I don't agree with the unsustainable thing either, because a lot of people are sustaining. But at the same time, I think that there's a lot of people that could potentially be assigned some wealth that deserve it. And that might happen in the future, because everybody's a mortal human being. And so eventually that wealth will have to be reallocated no matter what. But as of now, there's some people that are enjoying their wealth. Now, to let it just sit there is one thing. They could do so much with it by spreading it out or whatnot, and I think that's what he's calling on. He wants more very extremely wealthy people to invest into some of the younger people and get them going. Could be a good understanding of that quote there. Doesn't necessarily mean attack the multi-billionaires, because a lot of the multi-billionaires deserve it. I mean, look at Windows 10. It's amazing. I haven't seen anything better. I've been really enjoying it. Microsoft. It's one of them. So, he's been doing great things. Microsoft's been doing great things. And it's one of the best pieces of technology that we have right now, and it's so beautiful. And so Bill Gates most definitely deserves his money, and a lot of the other ones do too. But we'll have to see what they do with their wealth. And they're obviously going to do something good. My friend Lucas was always a big fan of Bernie Sanders. I liked him. I didn't vote for him. I didn't really push for him, but I liked him, and I seen his message. I liked his message and whatnot. And, I believe he's a senator. So he's obviously still there. A lot of people love him. I was behind Donald all the way at that time. Big time. Donald happens to be relatively more related to me dominantly. Even though technically I would also be related to Bernie through like English or Irish or Scottish roots or whatever. But dominantly, I believe genetically I'm more related to Donald at the time or whatever. So I pushed Donald big. at the time or whatever. But it went the way it was supposed to go. And we got Jeff Bezos. I was looking at his Instagram the other day. And I've been back on Amazon, and I ordered a few things. What's this here?
We've been perfecting our ability to launch, land, and repeat. Inventing and innovating so that we can explore the great beyond and protect our home. Our next launch will be the first time astronauts will fly aboard New Shepard.
Capsule Capcom, when able, request.
Red engine start. New Shepard has cleared the tower.
We're auctioning off the first seat to benefit our foundation, Club for the Future, so that future generations can do something extraordinary up there. Bid for the first seat on New Shepard.
Looks like he's enjoying his summer or whatever. Anyways, I think I will end this one here at Jeff. Unless I can come up with something else, but I'm getting quite exhausted. My power flashed on and off today, unfortunately. I wanted to get a surge protector. But when I was ordering from Amazon, look at this one. It's only $10.68. And I know a lot of people don't like that right click. I love right click. There's all these different options. Please do not force everyone to upgrade to this Windows 11. I see the use for it for like Chromebook style computers and things like that. But for producers and programmers and coders and scripters and all marketers and all the different technological jobs or whatever, we need those right clicks and all that. I can see the use for Windows 11 though. I would even call it something else. But they're going to call it Windows 11 because Windows, that seemed to work with the marketing. Windows 7, Windows 10, Windows whatever, etc. But in my opinion, that one needs to be rebranded. Not the Windows 11. I don't think is going to really work or whatever unless they include that right click. I think they tried to do that originally with Windows 10, but then they decided for sure to bring the right click. So I think if it's like that, it's going to be this separate operating system you'd only want on certain devices, and everyone's going to keep Windows 10 on their main machines. Windows 10 is such a great OS. To kill it would be like insane. I shouldn't have did that. To kill Windows 10 would be insane. So I don't think they would do that. But this one's actually a good price, $10.68. I'm going to add that to cart. And I also wanted a UPS, but doesn't look like they have many in stock right now. An uninterruptible power supply. Oh, they do. I was looking at Amazon.com or whatever. It doesn't look like they have many over there, but looks like they got a couple, but they're fairly expensive. I used to have 2 of them. And everything's a used to have. right now. But I got a couple things again. Cyber power, that's not bad. It's even better than a surge protector. It has that backup battery to keep everything running in case of a blackout. And I'm very lucky whatever happened earlier didn't do anything bad to any of my electronics. So I definitely need to get something soon. Where was that cyber power one I just seen for like $40? Oh, man. 75. Wasn't $40, it was $75. $57.99. Standby UPS system. It's got a load limit or whatever of 350. Volts. I'm not sure what the I think the voltage stands, VA stands for. I don't know. I know it means voltage, but I'm not sure what VA stands for. Let's see. Or not volts. I don't think it's volts. Let's see. I've never seen that before. VA. Yeah, volt amps is what I was thinking. Yeah, volt amperature. That's what I was thinking in my head. Volt amperature or volt ampere. And it's the amount of power that it can back up or whatever on the battery. So, like, you have to calculate how much your PC or your TV or whatever you want to power up in case the blackout goes on. In case your power goes out, how much you can power whenever your electricity goes out or whatever. And I'm going to add that to my wish list. And I was going to say volt amps, but I didn't want to sound like an idiot or whatever because I haven't looked at it in a really long time. And anyway, I added it to my wish list. Who knows when I'll buy it? And I'm starting to slur because I've been talking for about 1 hour and 5 minutes, and I did a lot of stuff today. I want one of these Nintendo Switches, and I want an Xbox Series S, and I used to have this Firefly, And I hope to get another one. And I want this tactical red light, infrared laser sight, sorry. But that's a cheap one. I want a more expensive one, but I'll go even with this pinty or whatever it is. And